Good afternoon, gentlemen. There's no ladies, so you're on this. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us today here at Fredericks. We're here to announce another fight that will take place on the show on the 28th of February at the O2 Arena in London. It will feature Chris Eubanks Jr., who will be challenging for the WBA interim middleweight title against DMITRY CHUDINOV, who comes from Moscow and is the champion. It's a great opportunity for young Chris. I think he proved in his last fight against Billy Joe Saunders that he deserves to be up there with the top guys in the world. And this will actually, if he wins this fight, and it's a tough fight for him, if he wins this fight, will actually launch him certainly into even bigger fights, and certainly put him, as far as everybody's concerned, well and truly in the top mix of the middleweights in the world. So it's a bit of a coup for us to get the fight over here. It's on the undercard, obviously, of the Tyson Fury Christian Hammer fight. Should be a great night for the fans, and I'm quite sure that everybody enjoys the competitive fights that we're trying to put together at the moment. And one thing's for sure, that you can't take away from young Chris and his dad, Chris Sr., that they don't balk at the opportunity of stepping up. It is a big step up for him, but looking at him in his last fight, I think he's more than capable of winning this fight. Chris is here, and young Christopher's here, or both Chris's are here, so if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask.
Chris the younger, how many times have you watched the Billy Joe Saunders fight, and are you kicking yourself when you watch it that you didn't start 2 or 3 rounds sooner?
You know, the fight was a big learning experience for me. In my honest opinion, I felt I did enough in the later rounds to take the fight, but obviously the loss is now on my record, and I'm now on a mission to redeem that loss. I've taken a lot away from it, and one of the things that I now know is that you should, I should have pressed early. I should have started the fight how I ended it. I'm not going to say it was a mistake, because on the night I felt like it was neck and neck. I didn't feel like I was losing, and then obviously I felt I dominated the championship rounds. But it's all a learning experience, and I've learned a lot, and now I'm going to be building from that performance to bring it into the final 28.
I thought both fighters come out of that fight with a lot of credit. It was a super fight. I think it's one of the fights of the year, and there's no disgrace in the loss. I know that fighters feel they want the perfect record, but from my observation of it is that I thought that Christopher showed that he's up there with the guys, and as I say, this fight gives an opportunity to prove that.
Chris, how much was a factor that you hadn't been past 8 rounds, where Billy Joe had done 12 rounds on numerous occasions, leading into them championship rounds, as you said?
It was my first big test. It was the first time I've been in a 12-round fight, the first time I've gone past 8 rounds, and maybe that factored into why I chose to, not up my gears earlier on in the fight, because I've never been in 12 rounds. How am I going to feel once it gets to the 10th, the 11th, the 12th? Now I know that, I'm more than capable of performing through the entire fight and being able to finish very strong as I did in the fight. And I won't be ever making that mistake again. Like I said, I've learned a lot from it, and this fight coming up now is going to be, there's a few little tweaks that I'm going to be adding into my training. Sparring was a big factor it's a big factor in all fights, and I didn't get the right sparring partners for Billy. So this fight, this camp, we're going to make sure we get all the right opponents, the right training partners, you know, if I have to go abroad or if I have to go to different parts of the country together, that's what we'll do. But you know, it's going to be, you know, I'm a man on a mission.
Christine, did you think your son won that fight?
He started late.
Is that nice?
He started late. The judges had a job to do, and in their view, he started late. So they gave the decision the way they saw it, which is wrong. But now he's learned from his mistakes, and that one mistake, and you know, everything that I feel and view and know from being a fighter, I do believe that everything that I've said prior to that fight is still on track. It's just simply put, follow strategy and instruction or learn the hard way. Either way, when you learn the hard way, you kind of learn. And you know, the abilities he has are there for everyone to see. It's not like you can't see it. How do you actually put it into working order? And that's what he now knows how to do.
I assume that you watched any tapes of your opponent yet?
I've watched one. I haven't got to properly look at him, but you know, this guy is built for me. You know, my career has been, my training career has been built on sparring and training with orthodox fighters, come forward fighters, and I know how to deal with them very well. And that's what I see in him. So, you know, there's not going to be any problems with me being able to deal with this guy. I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Christina, we spoke, I think, a month before the Billy Joe Saunders fight. You mentioned that you would like Chris to do it, I think you said the proper way in terms of British, European, Commonwealth level. With this fight now, do you think he's now gone past that level, or is that something you still want him to go and do?
I would like that, but the market is a market and it has a pace.
Opportunities, you've got to take the opportunity when it comes.
I didn't know he was a ventriloquist.
I wasn't, my lips were moving. Ventriloquist keeping his mouth shut, my lips were moving.
Look, so your question again was?
You mentioned that you'd like him to do British, European, Commonwealth,
Yeah.
and win the belt outright. Is that something you've gone past now and you're not going to revisit?
Well, everything's possible. What do you say to that? The market has a speed and that's because we have to keep up with it. So these opportunities, it may seem as though we have to bypass those titles. I wish differently, but you never know. It could happen. Everything's possible. Boxing is, that's why it's such a sexy, beautiful game. It's something you just, you jump on, you ride, and you just gotta hold on. Take the opportunities that they come, as Frank said.
Christine, leading into the Billy Joe Saunders fight, you made some reference to your son could be as good as Mayweather, that he would beat Golovkin. Was that not unnecessary pressure put on your boy, looking back on it now?
You see, okay, first and foremost, one, this is my view, and I'm entitled to my view. Two, is the fact that pressure, this is what this game is about. It's all about pressure. Now, if I'm going to do as I'm supposed to, which is to promote him, then yes, I'm to be saying that. And I'm trying to actually get him to know it and believe it and see where he can actually do it. So having a person like me in your stable is all about making you rise. I'm not doing this gently thing. You know, I'm having him have the mind to go and get, grab, take. Why? Because you can. And that's my belief. I don't believe in the piecemeal thing. Or we shouldn't say that. This is a game of pressure. Why do you think I've become notable? It isn't just because I had the ability to fight. I had the ability to actually dare. So this is all pressure. And I want him to get used to that sooner rather than later. And that's why I think he's going to make a huge difference, especially with a man like me, promoting him and boxing as I do. You know, you may have noticed, tabloids don't pick me up too much, but broadsheets do. And from the broadsheets, it trickles down to the tabloid. So leave me to do what I do. And in actual fact, I wouldn't mind if you said, I'd understand, if you said, thank you, Chris. Thank you. Illuminate. Beacon. Big. Boxing. It's a beautiful thing. Embrace it. This is not hide and seek. Speak proudly for, we should speak proudly for what we do and for how we think and for how we see things. Do I think he can beat Golovkin? If he uses his jab? If he uses his radar? Absolutely. And I'm going to keep on pushing that. Absolutely.
Chris Senior, short answer please. Are you going to America to train for this fight?
Am I going to?
Are you taking Chris Junior to America to train for this fight?
Everything's possible. It depends. It depends. I don't think that's going to be necessary, but you never know. We're going up to Manchester. We're going to do some training up there for a week. And there's more sparring there because in the south, it seems we're finding it very difficult to find sparring partners. But everything's possible. We'll see.
Frank, if Chris wins this fight, and many people think he might win this fight, do you already look at the winner of Billy Joe Saunders, Andy Lee? Is that realistic? Or?
Well, it obviously makes a lot of sense. You know, the division is really hot over there, isn't it? It's like going back to Chris's time. You know, there's a few guys out there, you know, young Christopher, Billy Joe, Andy Lee. In that division, there are some great fights to be made. There's a natural rematch there between the two of them. Andy Lee upset all the odds in the States and coming back with the title. Looks like Bill's going to be fighting Andy Lee. We're just working on that at the moment and trying to sort the date and the logistics of how that's going to work. And to me, if you know these two guys do meet again, if you know young Chris comes through, wins out of Billy Joe and Andy Lee, and I think that would be Billy Joe. You've got a great fight with the interim title on the line and the WBO title on the line. It becomes a significant fight to make in the summer. So that's really how I would like that to be, you know, to move forward and like to see that happen. Because it's great for the fighters and it's great for British boxing. So you know that's what we're working on. That's why when this opportunity came up and I was talking to Vlad, who's the manager of Chudinov and promoter him, you know, we were talking about it for a while, and I just thought to myself, this is a great opportunity. You know, this is a great opportunity for young Christopher, and we moved heaven and earth to make it happen. So it's you know, it's a great time for these fellas. I mean, it's competitive, it's controversial. Everybody's got opinion about the last fight. They'll have opinion about the next fight. You know what the tactics will be. And as I said, you know, the bit of a bonus could be if they both go into it with belt strap, you know, world title fights, belt strap otherwise, it'll make it a much bigger fight. You know, it's a great event on the 28th. We've got 7 title fights on the game. You look down there, we've got Neil Moore should be in a title fight. Bradley Skeet, Frank Bullioni, Lewis Petit. Cracking little fight between Ahmed Patterson and Glenn Foot, 2 undefeated fighters. Eddie Chambers is going to be on the bill, so it is a fantastic card. The main event will be on latest just after 11, and these guys will be on around 10 o'clock, just after 10 o'clock. So you haven't got to worry about getting home or anything. But you know, this is what it's all about. This is what we all try to do, to put these shows together, great fights for the public, great opportunities for quality fighters. And you know, I liked what I see in Christopher in his last fight myself. I enjoyed the fight. It was a great fight, and I think Billy Joe Saunders boxed extremely well and showed what a good fighter he is. It'll be a great rematch when it happens.
Chris Junior, do you have a different kind of respect for Billy Joe Saunders now that you have fought him in the ring?
like I said before, I respect every fighter. Anyone who steps through the ring deserves respect. As a person, no, but there's no respect there. He's not a respectable character. The things he says and does, he hasn't apologized for. And, but I'd love the rematch. There's nothing more I would love him to avenge my defeat. Even though I don't see it as a defeat, I see it. I feel like I outperformed him. People coming up to me saying, "Oh, I thought you won." I had a gypsy guy come up to me a few weeks ago. He said, "Listen, I'm going to tell you something. Don't hit me. Just hear me out. I'm Team Saunders. I'll always be Team Saunders. And you're a cocky bastard. But I thought you won the fight." So, it's one of those things where, the cold hard truth is I've got the loss on my record, and I got a lot of pride, and I'd love to put that straight. Will he take the rematch? I don't actually believe he will. I believe that was the hardest fight of his career, and I believe he walked out of the ring that night with a lot of question marks. For me, I walked out of the ring thinking, I'm here, I can do this. So I guess we'll see what happens, but a rematch is definitely something that I'm looking forward to.
How long did it take you for that defeat to sink in, being your first professional defeat?
I understood that I had the loss as soon as the referee, raised the guy's hand. It's just one of those things. But what I do know is that there have been many great fighters who've had losses early in their career or at the stage I'm in right now in my career, and those losses, some of those losses have been devastating losses. For me, he got the fight by a few points. So it's a minor setback for a major comeback. And the comeback is on the 28th of February.
There was no more devastating loss than Amir Khan getting knocked out in one round by Brodus Prescott. And look where he is now. It's all about learning and learning from your mistakes. That's what it is, and I'm sure he's going to look to the future. He's a young guy. Actually, they're both the same age, aren't they? Bill and Chris. So that's a fight that will happen. I'm absolutely confident it'll happen down the road. It's got to happen.
Christian, you say you've watched a bit of Chudinov in the past. How do you rate him as an opponent?
He's tough. He's game. Obviously, he's still got his own. Well, he's had 2 draws, I think, but technically he's still undefeated. So he's going to want to do everything he can to keep that. But I think I'm just going to be too much for him. I'm on a warpath now. No messing about. Everything will be done perfectly, and I'm ready to jump back in there. Straight back in there with top level fighters and show what I can do.
And for this fight, do you think you'll be more inclined to kind of put your foot on the gas a little bit earlier?
This guy is not Billy Joe Saunders. He's not a slick southpaw that you have to kind of figure out and I know what he's gonna. I know what he brings to the table, and it's one of those things where if he does come to fight, which Saunders was not prepared to do, he wasn't prepared to stand toe to toe with me. He wanted to negotiate, pick points and get away. I don't think this guy is going to be like that. Anyone who does try and stand toe to toe with me is not going to last. So it's going to be an exciting fight.
Any more questions? The fight will be broadcast on Sky, obviously on BoxNation, on Sky 437 and HD 490. It'll be on Virgin 546 and TalkTalk 525. So tickets are available from Eventum 0844 249 1000 or www.eventum.co.uk. That's for obviously the guys at filming. better get your tickets quick. We've more or less half sold this out already, so it's going to be a fantastic night. As I said before, good fights, quality fights, and we'll be announcing the opponents to the rest of the guys on the card over the next week. So again, I'd like to thank you all for all the help that you give us in promoting the show and making the nights a great success. And we're looking forward to seeing, or I'm looking forward to seeing these top two fights, because I think they are decent fights. I think Tyson Fury's got a fight in his hand, and I think Chudinov's got a fight in his hand with young Chris. So it's going to be an exciting evening for the fans. Anyway, thanks very much, and you want to sort out the one-on-ones. Thank you.
One-on-ones.